Hi, welcome back to the my No Name YouTube channel, and this is a Bali COVID-19 update, and it is May the 4th, and I'm Bruce, of course, and today's a little different. Right now we're driving down Jalan Patimura, and rather than have my talking head, I've got a little trip through Singaraja for a part of this. Today was my first day out, so this is the first time I've had a chance in 6 weeks to see what's going on in the real world. And what have I seen? Well, you can see people are out and about Singaraja. Life is going on as normal. Now, this is not a tourist town. This isn't Ubud, it's not Seminyak, Canggu. So this is just locals mostly. And so right now we're on Jalan Imam Bonjol, and I'm making my way up to Contra Telkom, the telephone office, to see about my internet connection and get rid of one of our landline phones. And so I was interested in how things are going out in the world, and you can see it's busy. The overwhelming majority of people that I came across today, passed on the street, were wearing masks. Now, some of them were wearing the mask around their throat instead of over their nose and mouth. So kind of a half-hearted attempt. But most of them had them in the right places, especially when we go into the office, into Contra Telkom. And when we got to Contra Telkom today, we found that only one person was allowed in. They let my wife in later. I went in first. You wash your hands before you go into the building. They do a temperature check. Then after the temperature check, you're let in, and you get a number. Once your number is up, there's only a certain amount of people allowed in the inner office, and you sit, and there's enough space because there's only a few people in there for everybody to have some social distance, and you wait till your number's called, take care of your business. Now, each employee is behind a plastic shield, and they're all wearing masks, and the security is wearing masks, so everybody's masked up, and that is positive. So what's happening in Bali? Well, today, according to the latest figures, we have 271 confirmed cases and 4 deaths and 159 cured. So the last update, I was joyous, you remember, because there was 0 recorded on that day, and we've had quite a few changes since then, and so, well, let's talk about them. First change, we're getting more people, and the governor has asked for districts or regencies in Bali to tighten up their security measures and their enforcement of policies and procedures, because this is where the cases are coming from, and that's Bangli, Karangasem, Buleleng, and Denpasar. And let's talk about my regency, my district first. Buleleng. Well, we had a visit from the officers from the COVID-19 task force who were out on the road over the weekend doing patrols of North Buleleng, and they covered Kampung Bugis, the harbor, the Pop Hotel, which I think is called the Singaraja Hotel now, and a number of nearby neighborhoods and villages, including all the way west over to the tourist area in Lovina. And they were disappointed, according to the news article that I have linked down below, to find that many residents were out gathering together in the evening when they shouldn't be, especially around food stalls that were open past the legal hours. And of course, this was in my neighborhood, Kampung Bugis, and the military officer in charge of the patrols said that they urged the residents to follow the proper procedures, and that if they don't, they will be reprimanded persuasively so that they are aware of what they need to do. And so I noticed many more people today, not everybody, but many more people wearing masks in the neighborhood. And our local leader said that he was pleased with the patrol and acknowledged that there were some residents who were not disciplined and were not following the government's request for wearing masks and social distancing and keeping the correct hours. And so that's how that's going. And in the meantime, where am I here? I'm on the way to somewhere. Okay, well, we'll get back to that. Okay, so what about Buleleng with the virus? Well, we have a village about 25 kilometers from here down the East Coast, on the East Coast Road, Bondalem, which has been quarantined because of a number of cases. So the village has been closed off for the next 14 days. Government will be providing assistance to the local residents since they're not going to be able to leave in terms of food to keep everybody healthy, as well as regular testing and closely monitoring the situation. And so that's close to home. And then there's the curious case that happened the day after my last video, where three villages in the Bali Regency, news came out that there were 400 people tested positive. That was a shock. The next day, news came that the tests were wrong, and they were tested again, and the numbers were not correct, in fact. And so they've been tested again a third time, and at this point I'm not sure exactly what the numbers are, but Abuan village in Bali has been quarantined, and no one is allowed in or out for the next 14 days. Testing is continuing. We're waiting publication of results now. So that's where we are in terms of this. We've got 271 cases. Things are not cleaned up. The government keeps hoping and saying, yes, it looks like it's getting better, but nobody's quite sure yet. And there's a interesting interview that I'm not going to have time to cover completely here, but I'm going to put a link below, and I'll talk about it more in a completely separate video tomorrow or the next day. And let's end up today with a social interest story. This is about a Russian family, husband and wife and their daughter, who is now 2, they were detained recently on the island of Lombok. They'd gone to Lombok from Bali, and they were busking. Busking, for those of you that aren't familiar with the term, is performing for money in public. And the husband plays an accordion and sings. And so they were busking in a market in Lombok, and somebody took a video. It went viral. The police and immigration caught it, and they came and tracked them down and picked them up. The couple had been in Bali, where they had been busking and had been told that they weren't allowed to do that there, so they took off to Lombok. They were they were apprehended there as well, and this couple has also been apprehended in other countries in the region. They were arrested in Malaysia by the police because of a video that went viral there of them swinging their baby, who was just a little thing at the time, about 4 months old, according to the article below here. And they they had to leave there, and so they were taken to immigration, and immigration said, well, we've decided to go easy on them because of COVID, and they're Russians, and they say they can't go back to their country. And so immigration talked to the Russian consulate, and the Russian consulate was going to help them, and it got them on a plane. They were deported, sent back to Russia, the man is quoted as saying, "I was playing music in Bali, but the police forbid us when it's our way of buying food and surviving. We only have enough money for 1 month to stay in Bali, so we went to Lombok in search of a busking opportunity, but the door was closed for that too." And so they're gone now, back to Russia. And one of the interesting things about this story is the way that people responded to it on social media. And it's a difference between foreigners and locals. Locals, when the story hit the local newspapers and local social media sites, people were generally sympathetic, with a few exceptions. That's the Indonesian way. Foreigners were extremely critical, and what are the differences? Foreigners said, well, if they don't have the money, they shouldn't be here. If they can buy a plane ticket, why are they begging from local people who don't have a lot of money, people you find in local markets? And local people said, look, they're not begging, they're performing. And busking is done here all the time in Indonesia. We have people that come through our neighborhood, sometimes just a couple of people, a guy sometimes by himself, or two people, sometimes a little troop. There's a little group that comes by with monkeys, a monkey, dancing monkey. And so, yeah, it was interesting. And my first response was similar to foreigners. It's like, well, you can afford to come here. You need to be able to afford to support yourself while you're here. But I can certainly see the Indonesian response to this, saying, well, they're not begging, they're performing, and so there's a difference. And yeah, there is, but if you're going to go to another country, you really need to have enough money to support yourself. And so, I don't know what you think about that. If you've got a comment, let me know about it. For this couple, or this family, yeah, they're gone now, so who knows what they're going to be doing next. And that's about it for today, and I want to talk about this interview that I mentioned before in detail, along with a couple of other interesting items about Bali related to COVID as well, in terms of the economic impact and travel in and out of the island. And so that'll come in a few days. And so that's it. Stay safe, stay at home unless you need to go out like I did today, and be kind to someone.